Hello, welcome to the video. Big news in the world of Godforge. There is going to be a draft mode. They've talked about it before, but they've kind of like laid out what their plans were for it. And so I want to make this video to tell how excited I'm about it, kind of my expectations of it as a player who expects this to be end game PvP or PvE content. And as you know, it sounds like a lot of things are undecided, so I want to kind of give my input on what I think it should look like, right, personally. But yeah, I'm just super excited. I just wanted to make a video about it. So let's get ahead and get started. Let's start with, what makes a good roguelike. And so so we're all on the same page. What makes a great roguelike is decision making matters, and every layer has decision making, right? And so in Balathra, right, the one of the greatest roguelikes ever made, you have the choice of, am I going to do this and get stronger, right? Am I going to play the game, or am I going to skip, right? Is this skip tempting? How do I play the game, and then how do I get stronger, right? And so, there's three layers of decision making, right? And then I think it is even more pronounced in Slay the Spire, where there is the routing that you pick, right? This is one of the most engaging parts of Slay the Spire is the route, right? The routing mechanic. Then there's how you actually play the game, and then there is how do you get stronger. And so I'm not asking Godforge to make this map, right? This map is very difficult to make, and it takes a lot of dev time for what I don't think matters that much in the realm of Godforge. I just want to make sure that we understand that there's three layers, and it's a good formula to follow. So my philosophy going forward is going to be about this idea of like navigation, gameplay, getting stronger. Right, so keep that in mind as I talk about my suggestions when we get to that point. But first, I want to cover about the stuff that they talked about, kind of my expectations, right? And so I'm imagining I'm going to be farming Fafnir for gear, and there is a 0.5% chance or something similar that I get like an unstable Aetherstone. And we know that all game modes are tied into the lore. So, my expectation is, what is a place that is always changing, always full of power? Well, of course, that's the Godforge itself. So I imagine I take this unstable ether stone, right? It's the ticket, right? And I throw it into I pop it, whatever. I throw it into the Godforge, and the Godforge sucks me in or pulls me into a vision or whatever the Godforge is going to do. And now I'm in the roguelike, right? And then I kind of want to talk about, what can I do here? Like, what can the ticket buy you? And so I think with them having the same drop rate as, the blue shards that had in Raid, I think that once you complete the tutorial / easy mode, you're kind of, if you do this, you just get a blue shard, right? You can just trade in for a blue shard, and that's fine. And in the future, you just unlock a button that you just click, boom. Oh, I clicked ahead. Oops, don't look at that. We'll get there. We'll click, and then we will, just so people that don't want to engage with the mode, they do it one time, and they're like, oh yeah, I want to play an idle game. I don't really want to engage this mode, but I don't want to waste these tickets that I'm getting from the dungeons. Yeah, sure. You engage with it once, you do this pretty easy mode, you get mediocre reward. And I think there should be two more modes. I think there should be normal mode and nightmare mode. And I'll talk about the difference between them as I go through. I have like a mock-up of what I think the game mode should look like. And I'll tell the difference here. But I think normal mode, there should be like a 10% average win weight for normal mode. I think that should be the balance of it. I think it should be very difficult and very scary, right? But the rewards in turn will be very good. And then Nightmare, I think, should even be more difficult with a 1% win rate. And these are kind of in line with Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire on Ascension 0 has about a 10% win rate for the average player. Ascension 20 Nightmare, or Ascension 20 Heart Run, which would be the version of Nightmare that we're talking about here, the best win streak is 26, right? So you think of this, the best player in the world on their luckiest streak has only won 26 times in a row. That is the kind of level of difficulty we want here. It's like, you need to be a god gamer at your absolute best, and you will, and like a 27 win streak is impressive. And then even this, like even like a 5 win streak is like, that's something you brag about as like, yeah, this guy's top shelf. He's beaten Nightmare 5 times in a row. There might even be like an in-game portrait for that, and I guarantee you that'd be one of the rarest portraits in the game. And that's how I want Nightmare to be. So let's go ahead and talk about reward structure, and kind of this is where I'm going to deviate from Fateless a little bit, and talk about like my expectation, and my this is more of my idea and less of my expectation. So I'm sure they'll implement it in a great way, but I just want to talk about this here. And so let's say that we value the unstable ether stone at 250 rubies, right? And that maybe that's the cost of a blue crystal, right? Whatever. I don't know the cost. We just need to snowball it here. So I think there should be 3 bosses, and I think there should be a stretch in between each boss that this is like the actual gameplay loop. And I think whenever you get to a boss and you beat it, you get rewards, right? So you beat boss 1 and you get a very nice, handsome reward. But boss 1's the easiest. Who cares? So you get like 3 million gold, and then you get you get comped some of your cost here, and then you can decide to bail out or you can decide to keep going. And then you get to boss 2, and then you actually, this is actually a profit now. Like boss 2 is actually where the profit is. And so the question is do you want to like leave with your profit, or do you want to risk it? And if you die on this straight, you lose all of this. So you lose like the 3 millions here, right? This is your first reward. This is your second reward plus more rubies. And then do you risk it all? Do you risk it? And then if you beat boss 3, oh yeah, we'll give you some good stuff. I think this should be the track for normal, right? The 10% win rate one is like, this would be a good haul, like a good RNG roll of the table, right? I don't think it should be fixed rewards. I think there should be RNG rewards. And it's like, yeah, you beat it and you got like 5 million, you got 2 blue stones. Oops. I keep clicking on it to like highlight it, but it's a PowerPoint. Sorry. So you get an eternal stone, you get 2 blue stones, you get your 5 million gold, you get comped back the resources so you can do another run, right? Or I can just choose to use this energy. Like, hey, yeah, I do this every once in a while. I don't want to go infinite. I just kind of like, I got a lucky run. I'm just going to take my shards. I'm not going to buy another ticket. I'll only do the tickets when they drop. But then someone like me who just wants to run this over and over again, right? I can, get my cost back, and then you get a scroll, right? So it's like, do you cash out at boss 2 or do you risk boss 3, right? And I think that's how it should be balanced about. And it's another decision making for the player to make. Like, are you skilled enough to read that your boss 1 run was straight luck and you should cash out, or you're just going to lose this stuff? Anyway, let's go forward. They talked about enemy themes. I like the idea of enemy themes. I do not think the player should pick it. I think it should be random. And so how I imagine it is, before you start, like you log in and the game says, okay, here's your boss, Titania, right? This is not Titania. This is a common hero, but she looks cool, and I wanted to use Titania as an example. So boom, Titania, right? And you could read her kits and stuff, and then you go into your class selection, right? And they talk about class selection. I think this is super cool. It seems like they want to lock certain heroes behind classes, right? So when I see these, I imagine, maybe there's like 5 or so classes in the game with some overlap. So I see like a sustain class. I see like a a dot class here, like a burn, bleed, acid class, and I see a defender class. So I'm like, yeah, let's go with the dots, right? So boom, I pick her, and then my dots go up here. And then we talked about the draft of heroes, drafting 10 heroes, right? Drafting 10 times. So I think this is a critical moment where I think that you should get 3 rares based off of your class. I think your first pick should be. So, we have Ramsey's Acid, we have Minotaur's Bleed, and we have Asex's Burn. And so, and then I think there should be a passive here that's like, dots do 30% more damage or whatever. So like, yeah, cool. I'm going to take Asag because Titania's weak to burns, and like maybe she summons these plants and she heals. And the whole mechanic of her is like, you have to have good AoE or a burn. A burn will insta kill the plants. Like when the burn ticks on Titania, it will kill all her plants. And then she has a healing mechanic as well. So I have to deal with that healing mechanic in some way. So boom, there's my burner. Cool. And then I think from this point on, I think rares should be a lot less common. I think you should have to deal with, you have to start weak. Roguelites are only fun if you start very weak. Like Slay the Spire, you start with a very weak deck. Balathro, you start with a very weak deck. And it's only fun if you start weak and then become something really good. And so I think it's okay to start with one rare just to guarantee some consistency, right? And to help balance the first couple waves, right? Like I know you will have a rare, but I think the rest should be commons and uncommons. Like it should be, there should be the occasional rare in here, but you know, and then for the choice here as well, I can choose Berserker for damage. I can choose the Lion for some tankiness, or I can choose the Spartan, hoping to pull the Hoplite, and the Hoplite has a bleed, and the Spartan can bring in the Hoplite for an attack with his ultimate. And so I'm like, well, maybe I go Copium and go Spartan. Boom. I didn't actually. I went Berserker. Oh no, it's down here. But this is after the draft, right? Or this is pick 7 or pick 8. And so I think in normal mode, you should have 2 hero slots in the back that you can switch between, right? So this is like your backpack heroes. But when you get to pick 8, you have to start, you don't have an infinite backpack, is what I'm saying. I think that in normal mode, you should have 2 backup slots. And I think in Nightmare, you should have 0. And you have to keep replacing your team. There's a cost to picking a new hero. So for example here, if this is Nightmare, I'm quite happy with my team right now. I have the burn, I have the boss mechanic here. I have a damage dealer, I have a defender, and I have a shielder. I'm like, cool, sounds good to me. And then they offer me a Salde, and they offer me a duplicate Shield Maiden. And I'm interested in Shield Maiden for the shield. And I think too, this is a change I'd make as well. They talk about you get the base hero, stage 2 you get a weapon, and then stage 3 you fully awaken. I don't agree with this at all. I think that it should be base hero, and then you get fully booked at stage 2, right? And then stage 3 is fully awakened. And then after that, or if you're a character that cannot awaken, like a common and uncommon, I think that common and uncommons should have a very real place in this game, and they should be kind of your something you can fall back on. If I'm willing to commit to Shield Maiden as my defender, I think she should be able to commit. She should be able to do that. But I'd have to spend a major amount of resources to make that happen. So for this here, I think if I grab a 3rd Shield Maiden, and this should be true for every character, your base stats just go up 20%, right? So Shield Maiden cannot awaken, so she just gets 20% boost. And if I get a 4th copy, she 20% boosts again. And if I get a 5th copy, she 20% boosts again. So I have the choice of investing into a common or uncommon. She's a common, I believe. Investing into a common, hoping to get a lot of dupes over the run, or I can invest into a legendary and already have that hero quality from the start. And so that's something I would change here. Like stage 2, like I said, be fully booked. Stage 3, fully awakened. And I have a choice here. I'd probably choose Shield Maiden, but you also have the Assault Tristan combo as well, and this is where your first choice happens. But I would say that you have limited hero slots, right? I do not think you should be able to collect whoever you want to. This is a roguelike. This is supposed to be very difficult. There should be an opportunity cost. So it's like, who do I get rid of for Assault? If this is normal, I'll have this backpack. If it's Nightmare, I think you should only have your 5 heroes you're using. I think you should have 5 heroes because uncommon and common kits are very weak. And so I think you need to have 5 heroes to cover it. And balance the content around having 5 heroes. Cool. So then now we won our first battle, right? We went in and we won our first battle. And then this is what the reward screen should look like. There should be more champions to pull. So right here, we talked about the Shield Maiden, right? Popping off. And then, we talked about in the other slide, I don't want epics or legendaries in this here. I want the occasional rare, but I do not want epics or legendaries here. Your starting cash should be weak on purpose if you want this to be engaging and difficult. But then, when I win my first battle, yeah, there's a small chance for an epic to be here, right? I can take Shield Knight. Or I don't think there should be traditional gear. I think there should be these not boons, but they would be called like enchantments of some kind. And I can choose an enchantment instead. So I get to choose one of these rewards. And so I can choose to upgrade the Shield Maiden, right? And this would be a plus $20 stats like I proposed. Or I can take the speed boots and give people speed. I can take the accuracy lily and then sleep effects have a 100% chance to land. I think this is also important. I think that there should be artifacts that enhance your chance to sleep. So for example, Satyr here has a sleep in his kit, but it's obviously very bad. Or Kunoichi has a sleep in their kit that's like a 25% chance to land. So I'm going to need accuracy anyway, because I need to land my burns on Titania, because I will not have enough base accuracy to land my burns. I should be expected to build accuracy artifacts if I take the Beset class. And so I'll probably take this accuracy one, and then whoever I attach this to, it's on forever. You cannot unattach it, right? So if I commit to this guy, if I commit to a SAG, he's going to be on my team probably for the rest of the game. And that's the difficulty of choices you'll have to make here. Or, you know, say I take this to, it's like, oh wow, 3% damage permanently. Who am I putting this on? I have a bunch of rares and uncommons. I put it on Berserker, I'm stuck with Berserker now, right? And that may be a choice. Like, hey, I want a damage dealer. Berserker's going to get this, and I'm going to scale him from the beginning of the game. And that's fine. Or you can just skip for currency. And then they showed this here, and I think this is a big mistake. I think that you need to give players choices on if/how they get stronger. And so here's my proposal is, so I talked about having 3 bosses. So this would be the first boss. You just, like, the first fight is forced. And so now you have 20 actions until you are forced to fight the boss. And you can do one of 4 things. You can fight, and every time you fight, you gain a level. And you get another reward screen. This is the number one way to get stronger. You should want to fight. If I could fight every action, I would, right? But I think your HP and cooldowns and divinity should carry between fights. I think they should. And then if you choose to rest, you'll heal 50%, 30%, and recover your core cooldowns. And then there should be a shop. This should take an action to look at. But the shop will have boons in it, right? So you can get more widespread effects for your team. And it should have, this is the imprint, right? The universal imprint. I couldn't find the picture of it, so I just put in this here. And there should be like 100 wisps, right? So if I skip 5 rewards and then use a turn to go to a shop, I can get an imprint for, you know, and this would be like a duplicate hero. This would be like a wild card. So I could use this on my Heimdall to become fully booked out, right? And I use a second one later to give him his Ascension 5. And then I think Wander should be, you get a random event. And so this should be a catch-up mechanic when you identify that, hey, I'm really weak. I need to get a strong event to live, because this is a high-risk environment. There should always be a way to come back. Or this could be something where you're really far ahead and you're willing to roll the dice. There might be a chance you get like 10 wisp, right? It should always be positive. It should never be negative. The negative thing is it uses an action. But you could get 10 wisp, or maybe you get a legendary hero, right? Sure. And then I think the shop should also have items to pick from, like these kind of items, like a good selection of them, maybe some based on your class, and then a good like I'd say like 5 items, 5 heroes, and those could be legendary as well, and they cost an appropriate amount. But yeah, and then so you go through this, and you want to fight as much as possible. You have to rest when you needed to. If you skipped a lot, you have to take a shop then. And then you can wander if you just, you know, want to roll the dice in that way. I think wander's a pretty bad option. It should be balanced around being bad, but it should have like a 10% chance to stabilize a bad run, where like, hey, you just get a legendary, right? And you used an action to get a legendary. And like I said, when you gain a level, that's like forever. So like you'll gain, like, let's say you do 10 fights, all of your characters will be level 11. They'll rank up. And I think that'll be a breakpoint too, is like, at level 10, you will get a 2-star hero, right? And that'd be a break point for your characters. That might be a good goal for the first boss or whatever, right? And then I think when there are 5 actions left, there should be a new choice called an elite fight. And the elite fight will give you 2 levels. It'll give you better rewards. It'll guarantee to give you a epic plus character. Like all the rewards will be epic plus. And it should be guaranteed to give you a boon, which is like the you know, the passives, right? They were talking about like giving imprints to your entire team. There should be like a class boon. And so it's the idea of, you know, it only happens in the last 5 actions, because remember, your HP carries over. So taking an elite is really risky because you have to fight the boss soon. So if you have to, like, I think the ideal thing would be like elite, rest, rest might be what you have to do if you're going to like really pump into this elite fight. And that'd be like a really risky but high reward strat. Or you just say, hey, I can't fight the elite. I'm too weak. I'm just going to do regular fights to guarantee a bit more levels, right? And try to cash out here. So that's kind of the end of the loop of what I was thinking here. And then when you win, right, here's the victory screen. Here's my dudes, right, that I won with. It'll tell me my rewards, and it'll say I can cash out and claim these rewards, and these are pretty mediocre compared for the cost. Because remember, this is an end game PvP or a PvE thing, right? So like it should be a high risk thing. These tickets should be very valuable to players, and so I'm like, do I want to only have my ticket cash out for 100 rubies? Yeah, my team's pretty weak. I see that Hades is up next, and I see he's immune to burn. So I know my A sag that I've been investing into, he's not going to help me. I'm gonna just cash out, right? My team can't beat this. Or you can risk for greater glory, and if you do that, you then go into a legendary shop, which will be 3 legendary heroes, 3 legendary like pieces of gear. And this is kind of what I expect the level of like legendary gear to look like. And one of them should be your class, right? So like Dracula would be in Basette's class because he does dots, right? In this hypothetical, and or you can skip for 100 wisps, right? For a really powerful next shop, and these wisps will be an in-game currency that you spend, right? So yeah, like obviously, if you chose the sword from earlier, this synergizes really well with the sword. So your berserker is now actually a menace to society, and that might be enough damage to be enough for the rest of the game. And now you just need to piece together the survivability pieces, or you take this feather of like, hey, whatever, or you take this chalice, which seems unassuming at first, but then you realize when you receive a buff, give a ranked up version of the buff to your team. When I say ranked up, I mean if it's attack 1, you give attack 2 to your team. And so this will help balance out like the commons and uncommons who give themselves like kind of a mediocre buff. It'll turn them into an actual buffer for your team. Or if you have someone like an Achilles, you'll give retaliate, attack 3, sharpen 3 to your entire team. And Achilles becomes a monster with this at the cost of, your legendary shop, right? You use your legendary shop to make your Achilles a monster, and boss 2 and 3 will be balanced around your characters being that strong, right? And so I think that's kind of what I wanted to share and kind of how I see it going. And then obviously with this reward structure here, I'm going to go back to it for a second. This is the normal reward structure, right? I think if you do normal, this should be like a high roll. But I think for Nightmare, I think there should be different boons. I think that legendary heroes should drop significantly less often. If not, they're not even possible to get on normal rewards. I think that epic should be more rare. And I think that you shouldn't have these backpack slots to bail you out, right? To like slot in for like weakened people or whatever. I think that you should just take your team, and that's it. And if you want to make an end game difficult roguelike, I think this is a good philosophy to follow. And I think the most particular thing is I think I need more choices than this. And that's why I like this model. So I trust that the Fateless team has something great in store for us. I hope they take some of this advice and implement it in some way. Yeah, so that's it for the video. If you have any comments, write them down below. And yeah, if you want to hear more about it, I have plenty of ideas about this. I just threw this video out because I wanted to just talk about it. But anyway, take care. See you guys. Bye.